It's always enough of a lost cause that I have it disabled for myself.
All right. Okay, so we're recording. Why don't we get started? Leah Fasten, members of the AI Salon. Holy goodness.
Wow. Hello. Hello, Kyle Shannon and members of the AI Salon. Kyle Shannon, it's been 2 years, bud. 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Here, wait. I've made a graphic. Not only do I have a background, but looky there.
Look at that. It's like it is like everything we've learned. Just each of those lines represents another insight we've had on our journey of the AI Salon.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Here, wait. And then I can pin myself. Look, now we're both pinned, I think. Look at that.
Look at that.
That's what they call in the business production value.
Yes, that's right. That's us. We are a very high production value organization.
We are. Well, thanks to AI, we can at least look like we have something going on.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. We do have something going on.
We do have something going on. Yep. Good. So before we jump in, so welcome everyone. If you're new here, this is the AI Salon. Obviously, this is our 2-year anniversary party. We have a bunch of folks who have spoken here over the past 2 years, and a bunch of folks who've been here before, and probably some folks who haven't. So welcome if you're new. Leah and I, the first meeting of the AI Salon was December 7th, actually, which was the first Tuesday of the month back then. In 2022, so the week after ChatGPT came out, and yeah, we're here. I don't know if you noticed this. Sam Altman didn't even acknowledge ChatGPT's second birthday, so we're acknowledging our second birthday before OpenAI acknowledged ChatGPT's second birthday. So there.
They've learned a lot from us. They often follow us in our lead. You and I. So it's not surprising that they just wanted to make sure we were celebrating it to begin with. And they saw us. They're like, oh, now we'll do it too.
Exactly. One thing that I would like to do before we jump in is I want to thank Tom Nodler, Forever Hooked, who's sponsoring the salon. So one of the reasons the salon is free because we have people sponsor the basic costs of the salon. And Tom is our sponsor for December. So thank you, Tom. And then also, what you're seeing on screen right now is more remarkable than you realize. This is a screenshot of our second anniversary limited edition shirt, which, if you go in the chat right now, is a link to aisalon.creator-spring.com. Go there. If you see this shirt and you want one, I would recommend buying it immediately because there's a bug in Teespring, which this shirt just keeps disappearing. We keep rebuilding it. It keeps disappearing. And I don't know, we've done it, 7 times now, 8 times now. So anyway, we will get it fixed after this. But if you want to see it and you want to get it now, you can at least go screenshot it.
It's really limited edition, like limited to this minute right now. We don't know when it'll disappear, but we did have one up live about an hour ago, I think, you and I, Kyle, right? So I don't even think it's lasting an hour.
Yeah,
so
I don't think it's lasting.
I just made it again and put it up there. We'll see how long this link works. And then if it stops working, just drop a note into the chat and then I can quick throw another one up there. So we can just keep putting it up. But it is very limited edition.
Yeah, exactly. And any, if you do end up buying that also supports the salon. So all that goes to the supporting the salon. So
and it will really only be up for like a week or so, even once we fix the bug. So if you want it, you got to get it to celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So, I would love to, So one of the things that we're going to do tonight is we're going to, ask people who've spoken at the salon to kind of talk about, what their journey has been, and it might be, since they last spoke, or it might be within AI. But I thought it might be nice, Leah, for you and I to do that. And one of my very favorite kind of prompts for something like this is describe your career in 3 acts. And so I thought what might be nice is for you and I to just start out and just describe our AI career in 3 acts. And then that theme will sort of carry out through the evening. And so just think about, speakers. If you've got something like, I know Terry's going to show her thing, but think about what you spoke about, and think about sort of the 3 acts of your journey in AI. Where were you? What was kind of the middle, and where are you right now? So you want to kick us off, Leah, with what have been yours?
Okay, that's great. So I think my first act was really working on building some data, a training set that I could use to make images that look like images I would have already made with my camera. And my first act was trying to get that right. And then my second act was figuring that out and getting that right and realizing that, yep, I can make portraits that look a lot like images I would make with my camera. And I figured that out. And the third act was like, holy fucking shit, I can make pictures that look just like pictures I would make with my camera using AI.
Very cool. That's very cool.
That's it. I'm in the third act now, and I'm actually trying to figure out what to do with them. And there's been a lot of moments where I'm working with clients who know me as a photographer with just my camera, and I show them the portraits, and you can see their jaw just drop. Like, oh.
Yeah,
and, conversations are happening around, using them. We've been using them for treatments. We've been using them as comps. So instead of going to Getty Images, they would drop my images into comps. And then once we get them client approved, it's nice because then I can just shoot them with my camera. But this is starting to be part of the workflow, which is my third act right now. And the third act is also, I'm very excited about how we can use generative tools to create work that really truly is work that elevates above and beyond the quick and shitty AI you can make, like the art you can make very quickly without a lot of intention. And I know Liz and I have been working very hard on working on, like, how do we define that? How do we make that? What does that mean? So that's my third act, is integrating it to something above and beyond.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go. It's funny, like, I came up with the 3-act structure, but I didn't actually think about what my acts are. So as you're talking, I'm like, I don't have a flipping clue. But that I think is Act 1 for me. So Act 1 for me was in sometime in 2022. I got curious about generative image making, and I thought, I learned about Stable Diffusion, and I thought, let me go figure out if I can, learn how to install it, basically. And so I think for me, Act 1 was feeling like an absolute flipping idiot. and clueless, and like I failed 9 times to get Stable Diffusion working, and actually you called me shortly after I figured it out, right? And then I just went into, I had an epiphany about ChatGPT shortly after it came out, that holy crap, this changes everything, and the world has just changed. And then I got really excited, and then I was like, it's worth feeling clueless and just like learn everything. And then for the second act, I felt like I had a clue. And I like had my head around all this AI stuff, and I had my little TikTok channel, I had the salon, and I was doing all this, and I was making crap for my business. And then this year, Act 3 for me is I feel clueless again. I have circled back around to feeling clueless because there are so many tools now that you literally can't keep up with them. And the capabilities of them are getting to the point that I feel like they're accelerating beyond my capacity to know what to do with them. And I think it's a natural place to be. Like, I'm not sad that I feel clueless, but I think for me, recognizing that we all are going to need to embrace that feeling that we can't keep up, and that these things are somehow something we don't know what to do with, I think is actually a natural place to be. So I'm actually cool with it, but it sometimes feels yucky.
Oh.
I would like to have more of a clue, and I just don't. And that's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
I think one of the things that feels very present about this technology is that there is a sense of learning a set of skills that become obsolete before we've even had a chance to learn them with more depth. Yep. And so there is a sense of like what I was learning a year ago or a year and a half ago almost doesn't even matter at this point. And that sense of technology moving so fast that that skill becomes so obsolete so quickly, I think is a new mindset for me, and something that I'm having a hard time getting my head around. Yeah. Right.
Well, and I don't think the skills we learn actually go away. But like, I feel like a year ago, right around this time, we were all super excited about GPTs. We built all these GPTs expecting them to make the GPT store, and we were all going to be rich beyond our wildest dreams. And I feel like there's been a resurgence, and then that didn't happen, and we were all like, oh, screw GPTs. And I think there's been a bit of a resurgence in the past couple of months of people rediscovering GPTs. Oh, they're actually valuable. And I was listening to Paul Reitzer talk about the coming autonomous agents, that the autonomous agents aren't going to be autonomous off the bat. You've got to configure them. You've got to say, here's what I want my agents to do. And then you got to put them together, which is going to be a lot like building a custom GPT. So I feel like a lot of the skills that feel like they're lost are going to circle back around. This is a very, I don't know, Cambrian explosion kind of primordial soup that we're in. And so, if you're OCD about wanting to control everything, I think this is going to be a miserable 5 years for you.
I just want to name, Kyle, that I have really, really, really appreciated doing this with you over the past 2 years and getting to know you and understand you. And I am delighted that even though it's been around the AI, that you and I have been able to meet and build this. And for everyone who has shown up to be part of this community, I like AI and I'm glad we're doing it. But by far, this community is what keeps me coming back. And this is what inspires me. And the things people are talking about and what everybody brings to the meetings and what's happening in the chat rooms is just, that is, we're doing AI and that's great. But it's just the community of people here has been, profound. And I think maybe that's the third act, right? I
think that's a great point.
Built, and this is really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. The cluelessness is around the tools, and right. but the connection with people that are in this same boat is the thing where, and that's the thing. I saw some tear faces as I was saying. I felt clueless, but I don't feel lost, right? Because I feel like there's always someone to talk to. Like I've got a group, an amazing community of people that I can, connect with on that front. So I feel very similarly. I feel like, I'm lucky that you and I have become friends over this. That's way beyond the AI stuff. So yep. Thank you. And to that point, so one of the nice things that we've always talked about is that people can get together within this community and collaborate and build things. And lots of that has happened. And even though OpenAI didn't launch something today or this weekend, one of our community members did. And so, Eric, I think, take the floor, young man, and let me depin us and pin you.
Eric, young man.
I just call Eric because I'm old.
I'm so touched. I was going to say I'm speechless, but that's like not allowed if you're about to present something.
But Eric Sander, take it away. Here, wait. I thought I unpinned myself. Did I?
You can be there. We're like side by side. That's cool.
No, I think this is
community.
I think this is your moment.
And Vanille is here as well. Vanille actually built this, and that's him up on the top right of the image there. So you all, all of you really, if you knew about it, but everyone I've reached out to has just been incredibly generous with your time and very thoughtful with your feedback. Just looking through who's here. Leah, I remember we spent, we were scheduled for 20 minutes and we ended up going for like 45 or something. And Leah just walked me through her whole process of how she uses a large language model to generate prompts for Midjourney. And it was just every one of these interactions, I have learned so much. Kyle said, if I can't search through my chats, then don't bother showing me anything. So guess what we have? We have built so you can search not only your ChatGPT chats, but you can search your Claude chats, your Mistral chats, your Llama chats, all in one place. So basically, we built this product for this community almost. Well, not even almost. Like this is kind of how it came up. I started hanging out here thinking, oh, maybe I want to be a prompt engineer. And I remember emailing Kyle year and a half, 2 years ago saying, maybe I want to figure out how to become a prompt engineer. And then Vanille started talking to me and said, well, what if we actually like build a piece of software would that work for you? I was like, that sounds pretty amazing. So this is like, today is our launch.
Wow.
We just went live. We kind of went live yesterday, and there was a little bug. The video found it. I found it with Vicky in parallel, and he fixed it. And now we're live again, and we haven't talked to anybody. We haven't sent a single email or spoken to anyone. So this is the world launch of chatbetter.ai. And the information is there. One thing I'll say, so the insider preview coupon is 15% off for 6 months. That applies to either the professional plan or whatever we ended up naming the advanced plan, CEO or Mega Explorer or Pioneer, whatever it is. It applies to both. We went through a lot of naming iterations.
Visionary.
And Visionary. Thank you. That's sweet. Ooh, good name. Danielle, did you come up with that? You must have. I'd love for you to explore it. There's a free trial. Please get in there and just see what you can do, how easy it is to make a table, export a table. There's a sweet little remodel tool where any chat that you're working on, instead of futzing with your prompt over and over, if you're getting frustrated, if you're not getting this like awesome, amazing result that you expected from your perfect prompt, sure, you can go ahead and edit it. We have that built in. But the other thing you can do is just say, okay, well, I'll ask Claude. Oh, I'll ask Claude Sonnet instead of Claude Haiku. Oh, I'm going to ask Mistral. I'm going to ask Llama. And very quickly, you'll have a huge diversity of output, and you'll seamlessly be able to access it and integrate it into your workflow. So that's what we've done. And it's a lot of just so much help from you all. I really have to shout out Vicky, particularly, has been incredibly giving of her time and her attention and her imagination. So thank you all so much. And I really hope you enjoy it. And please email me, eric@chatbetter.ai, with any suggestions, questions. If like, where do I put in the coupon code? I'll throw that in the chat over here.
Great. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So excited.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you, Eric, about using it. Do you need subscriptions to all of the LLMs that you have in the software?
No, that was one of our first thoughts, is we would hear from Kyle, and also just popping up in our news feeds like, oh, now Claude's the better copywriter.
Right.
Ooh, Llama's better about not censoring stuff, right? And I'm like, ooh, why do I keep jumping? Am I going to pay for 2, 3, 4 subscriptions? Am I going to have 5 tabs open in my browser? How am I going to remember where I had which conversation with? So with us, it's one price, and you have access to the text capabilities of all these models.
Amazing. So cool. Yeah. So cool. I just signed up. I'm so excited. So cool to see this come to be. It's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay. So let's jump into the meat of this. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a list of previous speakers who RSVP'd. If you are a speaker that didn't RSVP and I miss you, please just raise your hand. But I'm just going to sort of go through the list here. If you've got something prepared, if you came in and prepared something that you want to share, that's fine. If not, I would love to do this 3-act thing. So just think about your AI journey in 3 acts and figure out where speaking in the salon was in that 3-act journey. So give us a little background about what you spoke about when you first spoke at the salon, and then just give us your journey. We'll try to keep it to 5 minutes or so. If anything comes up where people have questions after you speak, you can raise your hand. Yes, John Knack, question.
Oh, no, just happy to chime in whenever I could.
Oh, okay, I'll call on. I've got you on the list.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I had to step up for 2
That's
seconds.
okay. Yeah, I'm going to call on people. We're not.
All right.
We're sit down. Put your hand. So Terry, let's start with you, and just catch us up on where you were. I'm going to unshare my screen so you can share yours, and then I'll pin you. And welcome back, Terry Spataro.
Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my God, what a great opening this was. And congratulations, Eric. God, that's huge. So maybe I should just start with where I was. So when I got involved with, well, first of all, AI was 2020. And then Kyle called me. He's like, how about this AI thing? And I'm like, yes. And then the salon came and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I want to tell stories. So I did do some storytelling on a book I wrote using AI and Midjourney at that time called Beyond Darkness. Well, I put that aside and did a whole bunch of other things, books and, had shows and sold my work and did all sorts of crazy creative things. And then this opportunity was, like, hey, do you want to take your book and make it into a film? And I'm like, oh, and that part of I jumped to act 2 is like, oh my God, really? How hard is that going to be? Well, I did it. So, and you'll see about 1.5 minutes because 9 minutes of jerkiness on the internet is just a little too much for everybody. But the other cool thing is because of what I did with Beyond Darkness, taking it from a book and bringing it into a 9-minute film, which is pretty amazing. I caught the eye of Rad TV, so they gave me a nice little channel. So now I have Cosmic Cats and Flying Cupcakes channel on Rad TV, in which Beyond Darkness is sold there, which is so cool.
And what is it? It's Rad TV, RAD?
Yeah, Rad TV, RAD TV.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
put that in the chat for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So anybody who has like content, like videos or films or whatever, music videos, Rad TV is really great. The only thing that is sort of like was a little bit of a no for me, but I still did it, is it's very Ethereum based. So it's a Web3 platform, which they promise they're integrating this coming year, credit card transactions. So that's cool. But anyways, I guess the final act was, oh my God, now I did this film and what's next? And all the content that I have to now develop for Rad TV is like, but good, like all the like really interesting film apps or AIs are coming out, which make the process so much easier. My workflow so much smoother. So yeah, that's great. So I'm not, my 3-act thing is not quite Freytag's pyramid formula for tragic, but it's a little bit, more uppity, maybe the hero's journey, but not quite.
That's great. That's awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to give you, because again, like I'm probably looking like
so this thing you're about to show us, this showed in a theater as well.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, what was that story?
Oh God, my Beyond Darkness was put into 3 film festivals. 2 were traditional, and it got in. And I was very straightforward. It's AI, but the one in Phoenix is the AI Film 3 film festival, and it was huge. And what they did was they took Beyond Darkness and they rezzed it up to AMC theater standards.
Wow.
And I was there in the audience and I could not believe, like, first, the sound quality was unbelievable. It was beautiful. And the image quality, like, that was my biggest fear, was like, ooh, I do 2160p, 4K Ultra HD. Is that going to work? But they rezzed it up so beautifully. It was flawless. So, but you're going to see the flaws in this. And I'm really sorry about that. And also it might be a little jerky. So I'm going to spare you, like only give you 1.5 minutes of it. Okay. I guess I'll show it to you.
Yeah. Let's see.
Give me 1 second to just, okay. Oh, and the other thing is the sound. So you're going to hear talking in a couple of seconds because there's something weird with my sound.
As we blasted off into the cold, dark depths of space, I watched our world disappear into a glowing speck of light. We are explorers, searching for what lies beyond our galaxy's outer regions. We've seen strange sights so far, massive asteroids and glowing nebulas that twist and turn in the distance like they're alive, but none of them compared to the mysteries that lie ahead. Months into our journey, a strange craft appeared out of nowhere. It was scary as hell, and then it disappeared just as fast, leaving us to wonder if we were seeing things or if we really had traveled beyond the limits of the solar system. The crew was quiet, as they always were when we traveled through deep space, but I could feel the tension in the air like a live wire was buzzing just above our heads.
Captain, we've reached our destination.
The black hole was massive. It was devouring everything around it. The crew and I were out of our element.
So let's stop it there because it's
Beautiful.
So cool.
it's looking pretty jerky. Sorry about that. But what was I going to say? Now, some of the things about this were really interesting, like the cost of it. I did go way over my budget because I burned through my credits. I used 7 different AIs to produce it, and I spent like a little under $1,000, and that's because I kept like I think Kyle said, like, you know, some people can be really controlling. Well, that's me. That doesn't look right. I go back, and of course, like, Runway was thrilled with me, like, oh my God. But the other things that I learned were in Runway, like, so when you're using like Gen 3 in Runway, sometimes it gives you some weird anomalies or things you never asked for. Well, I went into Discord and really complained about the number of times I got crap. And I'm like, give me some money back. And they're like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, And then I realized that their in painting is amazing. So you probably can't see some of the things that I did that had anomalies in there that I wanted to take back because the in painting was worth it. So, and that didn't cost me anything. So, but there were other things like, if you remember the book, there's like gore in it. So I'm fairly, innocent, I guess. I didn't realize, I would have a problem with Runway. But I got one image through, and it was beautiful. The way the spaghetti like guts just looked amazing. The second one, which was nowhere near the gore that I had in the first image that I did, I got a notice saying, if you keep this up, we're going to shut your account.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Terry, that is so cool. It was so cool to see it. Do you know where's a link? Someone asked in the chat, where's a link we could see more?
Yeah, do you have it on YouTube somewhere or anywhere?
No, only because with the book, so if you buy the book, you could use a VR app to actually see the full film.
Okay,
And
can you put a link to the book in the chat?
Yeah, I could do that too. And Rad TV, it's on there.
Okay,
So,
great, excellent, awesome. Terry, this was so cool to see. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Terry. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me back.
So good to see you.
So good to see you. Great.
Happy
Okay.
anniversary.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Emily Shaw, are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Emily Shaw. Hello.
It's so great to be back. And yeah, I'm just thinking how to use 5 minutes. Like how much of the time to talk and how much of the time to share things. I think I have enough time to just share things. I think it's fun to hear examples. But I'm a podcast producer and audio artist based in San Francisco. And I joined back to present back in April. but I was kind of like at the height of my like, oh my God, let me experiment and try everything with various AI tools, making audio experiments and audio art. And so just before I forget, I'm going to share my podcast in the chat so that people can listen to more and find what I'm talking about. So this is the Apple Podcast link, but you can find it anywhere that you get podcasts. And yeah, so some of the things that I've done, you can basically find the AI experiment episodes by like seeing that the title starts with AI experiment and then the number. So coming off of our my presentation last time, Kyle and I actually did like a super quick collab where he shared the backstory to like a music video that he had made using Udio and Midjourney, which was super fun. And so that's there in the podcast feed. And then I ended up connecting with Collab, which is part of Content Evolution. So the group had created personalized GPTs for the members by answering a very in-depth questionnaire. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to train AI voices on the members' voices, then ask the GPTs a question, get the response, have their AI voice say the response. So I prepared all of that ahead of time, and then we did kind of like a live show or a live experiment where I asked that they had no idea what the questions were. I asked a group of maybe like 5 people the question, had them answer, and then I played their AI voice answering from the GPT response. And so I'm just going to play an example of that. It's 3.5 minutes, so it'll use a lot of my time, but I think it's worth just kind of hearing. So I'm just going to share Kyle's example. And so it'll just be a quick. Okay.
So your question is, do you think that AI friend simulations will replace real human friends? If so, what value, if any, is there to engaging with the messiness of human relationships? Just a little easy question.
Yeah, really. Do I? So it's effectively, do I think digital twins are going to replace humans? The short answer is no. I
or
think,
not digital twins, more AI friend simulation. So it could be like
AI
the movie Her, where it's created.
Yeah, exactly. AI. AI companionship. I think for some people, it will replace human friends, or maybe it might be they will have relationships where they otherwise didn't have relationships. So I think it will augment, their sense of being connected to the world. So yes, the answer is no. I don't think it will replace human relationships, but I think these kind of relationships will be commonplace, and it'll counterintuitively push people into more deeply engaged relationships. With people.
Humans?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then that second part of the question, what value is there to engaging with the messiness of human relationships? If any.
I think the value of humanity, I feel, goes up in a synthetic world. Humans are beautiful, right? And there's an unexpectedness and a serendipity about humans that I think maybe we lose with these entities. So I think it's the authenticity of it. I think the value of authenticity goes off the charts, becomes incredibly important. And so it's not that these entities replace that. It's just that when I have a real human interaction, the value of it will be dramatically higher because I can compare it to this other thing.
Okay, let's hear it.
AI friend simulations offer convenience and companionship, but can't replace the depth of human relationships. The messiness of human interactions brings authenticity, emotional depth, and opportunities for growth through conflict and resolution. Shared experiences and mutual support create genuine connections that AI can't fully replicate. Engaging with human relationships enriches our lives, fostering empathy and trust. While AI can enhance social interactions, the unique value of human connection remains irreplaceable. The complexities of real friendships are essential for emotional well-being and personal development.
So what do you think, Kyle? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank that?
I think 8.5 feels right to me. I think the essence of it is right. It's way too formal. One of the
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there because we're limited on time, but I put the link for the full episode. It's 15 minutes in the chat, so you guys can check that out later. And then I thought it would be fun to share something that I kind of cooked up since then.
Okay.
So kind of in my 3-act structure, it was felt very resistant and scared of AI. I'm kind of a late adopter at heart. And then like had a lot of fun experimenting with a lot of things, and then kind of felt overwhelmed or realized that I was just using it like crazy. Kind of like basically I was like, oh, I want to be a little bit more intentional about how I'm using it. So, and I even got feedback on something I made where the person was like, using an AI voice here isn't actually serving the art of this. Do you know what I mean? So now I think I'm a little bit more intentional. But a recent thing I've been exploring is like privacy policies and data privacy and just that whole world. And so long story short, I downloaded my Spotify data, and there's this crazy, among all the things they sent me was this file, this document called Inferences. So it's like this 24-page document of like all this crazy text that I guess are their inferences about me from how I use Spotify. And so some of the, there was this crazy section called Frito-Lay. It's like multiple pages of just Frito-Lay related text. And so I've kind of just been like processing this experience. So like one example is like Frito-Lay Flamin' Hot Spicy Trendsetters. Anyway, so I was kind of like thinking about things that I could make with this. And so I ended up doing this kind of experimental, I had an AI voice read the Frito-Lay section, but as you'll hear, it like, I inputted too many characters, like I put in like 6,000 characters, but it was actually 5,000 was their max. Oh, by the way, this was using 11 labs. And so it ended up like getting super crazy in a way that actually kind of represents how I feel about data privacy. So it's sort of like was an interesting collaborator in an unexpected way. So this is just a little experiment that I made. And so I'll just play part of it. And I actually made this because I'm an audio person and I don't really know how to do video. I made it in a Zoom meeting to sort of like have a little bit of an analog horror vibe. And I have the sound playing off of my phone just to have some elements there.
Parents, 10 December 2020 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay active adventurers, 126 September 2022 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay active adventure.
So a couple minutes in, things get a little bit crazy. So I just want to play that part because it's kind of funny.
Flavorful Foodies, 16 OCT 2022 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay Fun Families, 14 OCT 2022 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay Health Conscious Indulgers, 106 Octane 22 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay 2 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay Indulgent Families, 18322222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222222eueuh
Like I was in the other room and I was like, wait, what's going on? No, this is just like 2 minutes later, just to kind of like close it out.
Name 29 Mayor 2P23 U.S. lookalike, 2P Frito-Lay Lay's Great Outdoor Adventure.
Anyway, so I'm not totally sure what to make of this, but I just wanted to share something that I created since last time. And I'll share the podcast once more. This isn't anywhere, this is just like in my computer, but I'll also share my LinkedIn in the chat too, so folks can get in touch. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Amazing. So cool. And I love your mind and the way it thinks and how you start to turn things into audio experiences. Really neat to see. So good to see you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks, Emily. That was awesome. Jane Endicott, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, Kyle. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. This is exciting.
I know. So you ready? You want to give us your
I am.
Where you been? Where are you headed?
Pardon?
I said, where you been? Where you headed?
So it's actually pretty appropriate that you're you frame this as the 3 acts because my talk was about the hero's journey. I've been writing since I was a kid. I was an English major. I'm a copywriter. I'm a fiction writer. So writing is my whole entire life. And the reason I did that talk on the hero's journey is really because I wanted people to keep in mind, like we have so many technical conversations in the salon, and that's awesome. But I wanted to give an opportunity to kind of recognize our human heritage and what makes us human. Like you were just saying, humans are just gloriously beautiful, and there's so much to celebrate about that. And so as far as my my 3-act journey, I would definitely it definitely follows the hero's journey, because when I first met Kyle, it was in January after ChatGPT was created, and we met at a Creative Mornings meetup, and I was like, I'm a copywriter, and you're like, you're so screwed. And that was, and I was kind of watching what was going on with ChatGPT online, and I was terrified. I was frozen terrified, deer in the headlights, because this was something that is my life's purpose. This is what I've my entire life is constructed around just me being a writer and me living that purpose. And here was this thing that could just do it in mind-blowing ways. But I went home and I played with it. And so that was kind of just that reluctance at the beginning of just accepting it and going on that journey. And I would say that my act 2 is kind of mastering the skills. I've just been neck deep in ChatGPT. I'd love to explore Claude more, but it's just I'm someone who I like to master something and just get really good at it. And I think that I've been thinking of it as a second brain, almost a second intelligence. Memory, ChatGPT memory came out this year, and that was a huge shift for the way that I use it, because now it can remember. First of all, with my copywriting, I trained it on a keyword of if I give you this keyword plus some input, create X, Y, and Z of content, and it just does that for me, versus me having to do that in 3 sets of instructions or with 3 different pots or whatever. And so that was a huge thing. And then also with my fiction writing, I write about vampires, and it's a very complicated world. The more I get into it, and so with my fiction writing, I haven't gotten to the place where I'm using it to write my content, but I am using it to be a writing partner to help me brainstorm and come up with ideas and develop things. And the fact that memory can remember conversations I've had with it of these are the different parts of this world. I'm just constantly building on that, and that is enormously effective for me. And I just that idea of thinking of it as a second brain is just it's kind of just I don't know. It's just helped me explain why it's hard to explain to people who haven't used this, how mind-blowing it is. I'm just you have to go try it. You just don't know until you see it. But it's it's so scary for them because of what it can do. And it's just that second brain. And as far as my act 3, I would say I'm not in my act 3 yet. I'm still in my act 2. And I say that because as I'm an older millennial, so I've seen in the Gen Xers can know what I'm talking about as well, as I've seen the internet disrupt at industries. I've seen social media disrupt industries, and now Like we're just living the Industrial Revolution like every decade now, you know. And like I graduated from college in 2006, and at the time, like copywriting was a job, you know, but it wasn't the same way it is now, like content writing. And it wasn't like the internet was around, websites were around, social media was kind of like in its infancy with like, you know, MySpace and Facebook. But it really wasn't until like people started using, you know, like these mobile devices and like increasing our connectivity that, you know, that like that creative work became more in demand and just more constant. And so by like the mid-teens, like there was a job that like 10 years after I graduated from college, there was a job that didn't exist when I graduated from college. Yeah. And that's just the way I see it now. Like by 2030, there's going to be a job that doesn't exist right now. And that's my act 3. Like that's what I'm looking for. And I'm also like looking to like really master just getting good at ChatGPT, because like just this, you know, like the memory coming out is like, it seems like a small thing, but it just reminded me that there's still so much more to come with this technology that, you know, this is going to look like the Rosetta, I don't know, like quills or parchment paper or whatever. I don't know, like some kind of like ancient technology. Like in 20 years, we're gonna be like, oh my God, that clunky thing, you know? It's like there's still so much more to come. And it's like the thing that my act 3, the thing that I'm using, like doesn't exist yet. So that's what I'm looking for.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge, like for a while you had a hard line between your professional writing and your creative writing. You said, you know, I'm not going to go there. So that you found this kind of relationship with it, I think is quite amazing. So and I agree, like what's coming. Google has talked about like we're on the verge of infinite memory, where it will remember all details of everything you've ever done. Like, and like, what does that do? Like, so yeah, you're absolutely right. We're the what's the quote that Eric Santa wrote down? We're living the Industrial Revolution every decade now.
That's what I feel like. I was in high school when the internet was like booming. I'm like, here it is. This is, you know, and Kyle, I know you talk a lot about like in the 90s with the World Wide Web. It's like, it was a huge thing, and it's just constant now. So
exactly. So all right, good. Well, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good being here, guys.
That was great. I'm gonna Christian from $11. From $11 couldn't be here tonight. $11 bill. Christian Robbins from $11 bill spoke about a year ago or so, I think. But he sent in a video, so we have a video here of Christian. So here we go.
First off, thank you, Kyle and Leah. Happy 2nd birthday for the AI Salon. This is really great. That's like 14 years in AI years. So I really, really, really wish I could be there. But I'm going to be mid-flight. I went from Florida to Colorado during the birthday party. So, but yeah, way back in June, I think it was 2023, I did my first salon with you guys, and I got introduced into this amazing group of people. You know, I spoke about pragmatic ways I'm incorporating AI into post-production workflows at $11 bill, which is my post-production company. That's my little niche I've kind of carved out for my brain to live in my entire career. And what I ended up seeing was this amazing group of people from all of these different disciplines aligning on teaching and learning from each other, all these different skill sets. And it was this really wonderful utopic thing. You know, and I've spent the better part of the last 4 years trying to, you know, integrate, you know, and shape, you know, everything that we're doing with AI, generative AI specifically, into my post-production company, and, you know, doing the, you know, trying to integrate the processes and teach the tools to everybody, you know, internally and externally to our clients, you know, into our day-to-day. So, you know, what we've been able to do with that has been, you know, pivoting and navigating away from a traditional post-production company, which is dying, into something different and unique and interesting to clients. So over the last few years, also, I've been, really diving super deep into generative AI, right? Imagery, video, music, voiceover, and just see what I can do with it and see what the limits are and how far we can push that. And, and just keep throwing that into $11 bill and seeing what happens. So, as for the future, what I'm planning on, one of the things I've noticed is just we've got this incredible talent pool of people in my industry and everybody's industry that are out of a job, right? And I think we lose a big chunk of the ability to curate generative AI with that, a talent pool that decided to, just go somewhere else or just get out of the industry completely. So right now I got a little side project I'm currently working on where I'm trying to hunt these people down and, or internal marketing teams that, want to use generative AI, but have no idea how to implement it and kind of educate them back into what our workflow and our workforce is evolving into. So I truly consider you all inspiration for me diving so deep into AI. And I sincerely appreciate what you guys do for this community out here. It's amazing. You all rock beyond words. So yeah, happy second birthday, AI Salon, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
He's such a sweetie. Let me stop that for a second. I had lunch with Christian last week, and one of the things that he's doing is he's going into agencies to their existing creative departments, and he's becoming a bridge, from how they work now to where they're going. And one of the things that really struck me, he was talking about how he wanted to figure out a unique position in the marketplace. And I said, well, you've actually got it. That his unique position is because he's got such credibility for doing things the traditional way, he can meet if someone is completely resistant to AI, he can meet them there. Like he understands how to do it traditionally. And then he can sort of figure out where are they in their three act play, right? And so he can actually walk them, okay, here's how we've done it traditionally. And then here are your little stepping stones to make things a little bit more efficient. And then here's how you get a little bit more innovative. And here's how you truly innovate. So for me, Christian really represents like a transitional figure that's going to be incredibly important to people that feel completely disenfranchised, because he can build that bridge back to how they used to do it, or how they know how to do it, and bring them along. So anyway, it was really good. So thank you for that. Cindy Kuhn, you are now celebratory background, so I'm not as embarrassed of you as I was before. So are you ready to share your journey, your 3-act journey with us?
Yes, I handled it. Although, do you see how when I was trying to work at, I was asking for Gen Z, I guess we're all just what are we doing? We're all 70s. I'm totally down with the boombox, and I'm totally here for it. But look at the one who she is turned into a lava lamp. So you know what happened to her. So she's going to kick off my axe. I like the axe. So I wasn't prepared for anything tonight. So when I heard there was an initial assignment, I was grateful for a few moments to be like, okay, here's what I think. So here's what I have for Act 1. I think my Act 1 with Gen AI was pulling from the idea bins, folders, files, journals, notebooks, sketchbooks, all that stuff that was I wonder if I can go get this just for content and see what gets made. And I feel like it was just playing for discovery, not being purposeful. I mean, other than play purpose was Act 1, and that was super fun. And then I feel like in Act 2, which is probably, I feel like I spoke here after, I don't know, I feel like it was after Anniversary 1, so I'm just going to claim that. So, or around it. It was right before, right around. So at that time, I spoke on doing AI scouts. And I feel like I also, Act 2 was kind of getting focused, like thinking really about what can I do with this stuff. So then came all the custom GPTs. And for me, the advancing of the custom GPTs that Kyle and I did in the collab group, making our digital twins, created a real pivot for me, because I use my digital twins every single day. And I have 2 of them that are super well constructed, and I don't work alone anymore. So I feel like that Act 2 brought me assistance through those twins. Plus it brought more access to stuff I wanted to be doing, like writing, publishing, and doing talks. And so Kyle's digital twin is lonely. Mine is robust. She is like a gal pal. And she has helped me create really far more focused stuff, because she's good. She uses my language. So that was Act 2, I think. And then in Act 3, at first I just wrote, what now? But I've had a few more minutes to think about it, which is, instead, I think I want to say in Act 3, it's like, what am I excited about? And so for that, I am excited about Agents Are Coming. I know that I have to, load them and do the work, but I feel like with all this work with the twins, which is not an easy endeavor, it's not like that didn't take over a year to get that into the fight and shape they're in. So I'm up for the work. So I'm excited about the agents. I'm up for the work / grateful people like Peter Kaminsky are in my life, because I feel like when I get stuck, I have someone to cry to who will support me. And then the other 2 more things I'm excited about, which is the sort of teaching and training that I do around AI. So I don't teach people tools, because I feel like they change every Tuesday, and that's not, I just say play. But my teaching and training has become around AI mindset. And that's super fun for me, because I have teaching and training around futures mindset. So I found this little space that I can really comfort people in who didn't early adopt. And so that's a space that I'm playing in now. And it's a space that serves me really well, so that I'm not trying to stay up on every tool, because even when I'm doing mindset training, I'll say something and then someone will pull up whatever tool we're using, and go, well, no, right here it looks like you can do that. And I'm like, my God, that changed from Saturday when I went in here and messed with this. That's why I don't teach tools. I'm just teaching you to play in the mindset. So that's been fun. And then my final thing in Act 3 is just more of the people. I mean, I am so dang grateful in Act 1, 2, and 3 for people, because it is like the most fun to all these collaborations and clubs and just all the stuff we all get to do to hang out together. That's what I see of more of Act 3. I don't even know what that means, but like hanging with the people, because, who the hell knows what's coming with agents or anything else, but at least we all have a safe space to hang. And that for me is what I care about more than anything. Because God, I don't know. Dan, I have a post coming out. Thanks for asking. I'll share it in AI Salon. I'm trying to get better about posting weekly. It's my 2025 goal. I tried in 2024 and I used AI a lot, but I'm now committed to the calendar. So that one is coming out because I'm helping somebody with that next week, actually. So
all right, this is being recorded, so you're on the hook now for weekly.
I know. That's good because I need to be on the hook. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here to be like accountable in 25. And by accountable, I mean, I really do want to talk about stuff more because I think people really are going to start needing us. And I think that I drive people crazy about talking about it too much already, but I don't think that's true. I think I could be a Kelly Camp out there and stop people in the Starbucks more. So that's it. Those are my acts.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you, Cindy Kuhn.
Thanks.
You're amazing. Love having you be part of this community. Liz Miller-Gershfeld, are you ready to jump in and say hi and tell us everything? Are you here?
Hello.
Right, there you are. I've got the whole Hollywood Squares grid of people. I got to find you.
Yeah, I'm the one with the birthday background.
Oh yeah, very nice. Love it.
Okay,
Very
so
classy. Your background's very classy.
thank you. Always try to bring the class, you know. So I'm so happy to be here tonight celebrating the Salon's second birthday. This is such a unique and inspiring community, and founded by two incredibly dynamic people that I've had the privilege to get to know, and made up of so many generous, creative, and intelligent humans. And that's really what it's about. So the last time I spoke here, I had recently left a very long career in advertising as an art producer. After more than 20 years stepping away, it felt like walking into both an open field of possibility, but also a great deal of uncertainty. Act one. And at that time, I shared some observations and predictions about the industry. And my own path was in this space of being completely overwhelmed, drinking from the fire hose, trying to learn everything, not really knowing where to place my focus. And I think my act two has occurred in probably the last year, and it's been getting a lot more focused, drinking from a slightly more focused fire hose of AI, video creation, and workflows, and all that goes into that, which is a lot, as many of you know, especially if you're trying to bring it to a level of professional rigor, as I think many of us are. And so it's been humbling to move from a very familiar way of working into something that feels like something entirely new. Learning new tools and workflows, like Leah said, only to have them become irrelevant and having to relearn over and over. And it's striking to me because the shift isn't just in the tools we use, but it's in how we think about and collaborate with the tools. At first, it feels very random and chaotic, but then within the randomness, there's this opportunity for a totally different kind of collaboration, and it thrives on chance and unpredictability. At the same time, it requires a new kind of discipline. And even if you aren't a creative professional, there's something deeply satisfying about combining that experimentation with mindful creation. And it's that tension between randomness and intention and serendipity and curation. There's something entirely new that comes. And my son, over Thanksgiving, he shared this academic paper with me. Mom, I think you might be interested in this. And it was really interesting. The abstract, it described something very striking. People and organizations who claim to value creativity most often have an implicit bias against it when they feel uncertainty, which feels very obvious, but they tested for this multiple times. So not only that, but that uncertainty makes it harder to recognize or assess creative ideas. And that really hit me hard because I've observed this for years, and in creative organizations, the more frightened a client would feel, the more mediocre or safe ideas would be chosen. And I felt it myself, this uncertainty about where I'm heading, what skills I need, what my work even is now. So a critical piece of the work, as I've recently learned, is developing a very strong self-awareness of these feelings, recognizing them and being with them without letting them close you off. So for me, that means experimenting in a way that is not hanging on to my old ways of doing things and bringing forward a sense of curatorial discipline and a trust in myself, my human self. And it means looking at what other people are making and trying not to filter for what's familiar and trying to stay open to what's novel and unexpected. And last time when I was here, I talked about AI and advertising. I see this as a fascinating challenge for industries like advertising. Generative AI is certainly making its way into creative workflows, where before everyone was very worried about the legalities. And I think that people are now understanding that one way or another, things are going to come to some sort of reconciliation. So agencies are making those tools available for their teams, and clients are asking for AI solutions. But many people are largely working in the same ways as before. And they're not sure if AI is about efficiency or is it about solving certain creative problems in entirely unique ways. Both can be true. Sometimes there's a lot of potential, but many of the structures within agencies remain siloed and rigid. And this is where generative AI feels so different. Traditional production is often linear and predictable, but with generative AI, the process is iterative and fluid. It's not just executing ideas, you're collaborating with the tools and you're allowing randomness and chance to play along with the intention. And the fear of irrelevance is understandably the ultimate form of uncertainty. But if agencies and the people within them can navigate that fear, they're going to find that they have new roles and new ways of working, and they're going to be more dynamic and rewarding. And so Act 3, I don't think it's happened yet for me. It's still emerging. Only this week, I've had a couple of people reach out to me, a photography duo and an agency producer, about potentially collaborating. And that's very exciting. We shall see. But this brings me to why this community is so important to me, because the salon is this space where people from all kinds of disciplines, like Christian was saying, come together. And they're connected by curiosity about generative AI. And that diversity is so valuable because it helps us see beyond the boundaries of our own fields. And it reminds me of the importance of collaboration with tools, with ourselves, with uncertainty, and with each other. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of this community. And thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. And for being here and for everything you all bring to this space and for helping me navigate my own uncertainties. So happy birthday to the salon, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks for being here and all the work you do too for the salon.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. And I've name checked you in the past week or two, probably, I don't know, a dozen times, because you said something at our last meeting where you articulated that you're in a transition from an urgency of breadth to an urgency of depth.
Yeah.
And that for me is just like I'm on a similar journey, and figuring out what is the thing to go deep on is actually, I think, going to be very personal for all of us. Like, where do we choose to put our focus? Because there's so much to do that we have to choose, right? And so where do we put that urgency? So thank you for articulating that. I thought that was really beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Liz. All right. Is I didn't see Leslie Hughes in the list, but you might have a different name. Is Leslie Hughes here? Okay. If not, then I'll move on. Kelly Camp.
Kelly.
coming in hot from Dallas.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Tell us about your 3-act structure, your
Gosh.
AI journey. What's your play look like?
Well, let's see. Acts 1 through 3 are just part of a series of, I think, 1 through maybe 77. So it's never ending. I think my Act 1 was really just complete obsession. Once I figured out what this tool was kind of capable of, and that was over a year ago, I really just fell in love. I fell in love with the opportunity to be creative, to be learning something new every day, to be challenging myself. And it just checked all of my boxes. I've been that square peg in a round hole most of my career as a creative and liberal arts major, and not fitting in with the typical corporate world, although I tried that for a while. So when I found these tools, I really felt like I had found my place finally. So I dove in head first, 1000%, and it was complete obsession. Then I think Act 2 probably ended up with exhaustion and overwhelm and maybe a little bit of depression about, I'm learning so much, but now what do I do with it? I have no idea what to do with this. And thankfully, I had this group to bounce ideas off of, or just listen to how other people were using the tools and what they were doing with it, because it was very overwhelming. And I learned a lot of different tools. I went very wide and was convinced that I didn't need a vertical. I wanted to be a horizontal, and I wanted to learn a little bit about everything, which I did. And I'm grateful that I did that. But I think this Act 3, I'm finding my place. I'm finding my niche at this point. I'm sure it's going to change. Probably a year from now, it'll be something totally different. But for now, and I'm learning to embrace that too, is it's okay to do one thing, but it's not forever. It's one thing for right now. And that's helped me keep my sanity about all of this, I think. But right now I'm focused on, and I didn't really plan this, it just sort of has evolved, but I found my niche in creating GPTs for businesses. And I'm getting some really interesting projects that I'm working on across the board, everything from beekeeping analysis to oil field equipment analysis to I've just been working with some manufacturers lately. So I'm working with this very large company here in Dallas that builds staircases for all of the major buildings in downtown Dallas. And I'm just having such a fun time. I'm learning something new every day. I'm meeting some amazing people and just being challenged in my own way to really push these tools and figure out better ways of using them.
Beautiful. I love it. Would you be willing to give a 3-act structure for the people you interact with? I feel like more than anyone that I know in AI, you're very much in touch with people, who like you evangelize, right? So you're very much in touch with people that are not there. Could you characterize just the general public that you interact with, or the people that you interact with, what's been their 3-act play up to this point with AI? Like, how's that shifted? I feel you seem uniquely qualified to talk about that.
Well, it's always shifting. And I feel like I'm constantly watching these waves of attitudes around AI. And so a year ago, 6 months ago, even probably 3 months ago, people were still very leery, didn't really want to talk about it. They would see me coming and turn the other way because they knew what the conversation was going to be about. But I didn't care. I'm going to push through. But now I'm seeing this other wave where people are they're hearing it everywhere, right? And they can't help but have a conversation about it no matter where they go. So they're starting to get more curious about it. And I feel like a little less fearful about it. So generally speaking, and of course everyone's on their own journey, but generally speaking, I feel like, okay, it's sort of a common conversation that everyone's having. I'm going to make a prediction here. I think over this Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, I think a lot of, let's just say executives, for example, are going to be sitting around the dinner table at the holidays, and they're going to hear Aunt Martha talking about Chat GPT. And I think it's really going to light a fire under a lot of these administrators and executives who have been waiting. I think they're going to say, oh my gosh, my Aunt Martha knows about this. I should probably start to figure this out.
Fascinating.
That's my prediction. But I think they're just more open to having the conversation. And then, of course, I found two or three people that I call my ambassadors or my evangelists that I have invested in teaching them the depth of the tool, not so much the breadth, but the depth of the tool, enough where they're very excited, and we've worked on projects specifically for them. And now they are going around telling everyone they know because they're excited about what it's done for them personally. They're just sharing their own personal testimony and saying, you've got to meet Kelly. You've got to work with her. You know, your business could really use this. And that's how I'm growing my business right now.
No, beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, I think you're an amazingly generous person. I know you put a tremendous amount of time into educating people and evangelizing and just, you know, holding the space for people to feel safe about learning this stuff. I think it's incredibly important. So I feel like you really epitomize what the salon's all about. So thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, Kyle. That's very sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, and if anyone has spoken at the salon but didn't RSVP, that's fine. But I purposefully saved John Knack for last, just because he's kind of insufferable, right? So we might as well just, you know, let people sort of filter out, and then no. John is one of the few people that has spoken at the salon twice. John and I have known each other for ages and ages and ages. You've got so many acts in your career, just even in the past 2 years, that I think you probably have to do, you know, 3 or 4 3-act plays. But let me turn it over to you, John. Just so that you know, John spoke when he was at Adobe before they had even made the decision to dive into this generative AI space. And then a few months after that, they launched Firefly and really went all in, and he came back and spoke. And now I'll let them tell you where you are now, but I'm really excited to hear. I feel like you've got a unique, like a historical perspective and inside the industry perspective, but also this really broad perspective. So I'm just excited to have you just kind of unleash on us where we are and where you are, because I think it's I'm excited to have you here. So great to see you, buddy.
Cool. Thank you. And yeah, thank you for having me. I will definitely be insufferable. I just came back from visiting my 80-something-year-old mom. If you think I talk a lot, imagine like me in drag being 80. A lot. Anyway, I'll try to be brief, but please do interject, especially if I can't see you. I'm going to try to share my screen. But yeah, I mean, I think like Kelly was saying, she needs more than 3 acts. I feel like me, it's more like the Kubler-Ross, 5 stages maybe. But there's definitely like profanity, ecstasy, gnawing on things. I don't know. It's been a lot. So yeah, basically I worked on Photoshop for like 10 years back in the day, and we were always trying to do a lot of what is now commonplace. And in fact, just now I was like trying out painting in Flux. I mean, you can't keep up, but like these models that we kind of take for granted, just being able to extend a scene. I'm like, of course it can do that. Like, can it? I mean, yesterday we were doing Christmas cards and just like, taking random tourists out in Photoshop. So yeah, I've been at this for a long time. Some of the things like Adobe was sneak peeking at Max this year. If you didn't get to see it, they had one I think called Perfect Match. By the way, I'll drop some, hopefully not totally self-serving links, but I try to just, capture a bunch of the stuff on my blog. So it's, worth going back, I think, to some of these archives if you just want to see some of this stuff. But doing things like, ideally, matching lighting by understanding, okay, you're compositing two photos, it's coming from one direction in A, one direction in B. How do you actually like regenerate pixels while preserving identity and, you know, the distinctive pieces about somebody, whether it's a scar or a bindi or, you know, asymmetrical features. That's all super hard. Anyway, you know, my sort of speed run was I was at Adobe for like 14 years. Then I went to Google. You get to pick a 3-word bio or mission. Mine was teaching Google Photoshop, meaning like, what if Google, as like shorthand for, you know, computers, could see like a human, and what if Photoshop, you know, is sort of like shorthand for just a creative tool stack, you know, whether it's After Effects or Premiere or Final Cut or, you know, illustration. Anyway, all of that stuff is actually becoming more and more real, as you all know, you know, many cases even better than I do. So I got to work on Firefly last year. I ended up coming over to Microsoft. No one is more surprised, by the way, than I am about this. But here we are, because really for me, the mission is the key thing. I just want to bring this to as many people as possible. I'll show you, I finally got to ship a feature here just in the last week or so. And I'll tab over and show you that. It's, as Vin Scully, the old announcer, used to say, a humble thing, but thine own. So it's just a starting place. But I think what's really cool is it's taking sort of a different approach. It's not trying to do everything with AI, but rather it's going the other direction, which is like, can you just abstract out one skill that was previously the domain only of people who had spent a great deal of time learning a particular craft, in this case, typography. And can you make that accessible to more people? Again, never to replace skilled craftspeople, but just to try to like sort of broadly raise the level of the game for folks. So let me share, and let me just share my entire screen. Y'all have to let me know if this actually works. Okay. So are you seeing a mostly blank canvas with a bunch of icons on the left?
No, nothing's sharing right now.
Oh God, really? It sucks. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so you're saying it says like designer in the upper left?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And okay, so yeah, if you go to designer.microsoft.com, Microsoft obviously has a relationship with OpenAI. They have access to DALL-E, so you can go and create images with DALL-E. And then they've been building out tools around that. So, you know, just basic capabilities for like setting text and editing images and so forth. The thing I want to show you quickly is just this one piece I had played a role in. And so before I do that, I'll just mention I've been really fascinated for the last year plus. Like, obviously, DALL-E especially, the spelling was like hilariously bad off the bat, to the point where I always said, I'm going to kind of miss it, you know, when it like quits the natural habit and isn't just like spitting out like weird dreamscape stuff. But it's been getting better and better. And so just, it's interesting to me, like I started making like poster art or trying to with DALL-E 3 like a year ago, which again seems like, you know, 10 years. And just kind of like capturing interesting examples. And there's still some like misspellings and things in here, but it was like, all right, it's getting like good enough to be dangerous. And then as time has gone by, just over the last year, I've been, you know, trying more and more of these. DALL-E really hasn't changed, but now Ideogram has come out. I don't get kickbacks from them, but I should. They were having a Black Friday sale. If you don't know my Ideogram, you will in a second. I'll just show it to you. And then I'll circle back to the thing I've been shipping. Basically, I just make like horribly insufferable dad jokes for my family, right, visually. And, you know, these are all like inside references to like old stories we used to make up with the kids at bedtime, or like, you know, my wife works at Airbnb and she'll see like these inscrutable comments go by like, what is Zookeeper load in the Spectre meltdown? I'm like, I don't know, but that seems funny if that was like a children's book cover, you know? And so like, what the hell? Like, let's throw that in there and just see what it makes of it. And now, again, these sensibilities are starting to get to become accessible in the latent space. And so a question I've had for my teammates for a long time is, well, how do we start putting that more at the disposal of people? Again, you know, it was Thanksgiving, so of course I had to make a, you know, cheesy L-tryptophan pun. Anyway, we'll, you know, leave that there. But again, so this is Ideogram, just ideogram.ai. It's a bunch of guys I used to work with at Google. Like me, they got sick of never shipping anything cool there, and they also left. And in my experience, this is the best model to date for various reasons. Like the text coherence is amazing. You can upload an image and you can remix based on that. I kind of have mixed feelings about that, but I'll just give you an example. I was up, there's this, the Letterform Archive in San Francisco is an amazing place if you haven't been there and you're in the area. And I was looking through these, 100 and 400-year-old manuscripts. And I was just, going and like taking photos of them. And I don't know, this was originally, some scholar and a student or whatever. And I was like, oh, let me just upload the photo of that and then have it hit the remix button, get the prompt out of it, and then change it and like turn it into my dog, because as one does, right? Why not? But this is just such an insane thing that you can even conceive of doing that. And I'm like literally doing it like between like walking down the hall, seeing something cool, taking a picture, getting a drink of water, letting it process, and like getting the results back. Also just like I was taking my kid to the pro shop at the hockey rink, and I took a picture of a Barracuda's hat, and I was like, oh, what if I change the color to be light blue and I change the name to be his school? And it's like, at a glance, I would challenge people to know that this isn't just a photograph of a real hat. So find Ideogram super cool. I also am a fan of Krea.ai. One of the cool things those guys have been doing, it's literally like 3 Spanish dudes in a room in San Francisco, and they never sleep. That is their superpower. They just came out with new editing tools today, so I haven't even seen those yet. Yep. But cannot keep up. Anyway, what's super cool is they have this new model Flux. Basically, the core folks behind Stable Diffusion left as that place was going like full Chernobyl. And they've left, they made Black Forest Labs, they have a new model called Flux, they have different versions of it. So you can try generating stuff with the different models. So like you can literally, like if you went into Ideogram and my son and I have the same sort of bizarre mental patterns, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab that prompt and I'm just gonna paste it in here, and it's a boom, unbelievably fast. But usually, you can like trade quality for speed, and you can then play with different models. So there's like, there's Flux Pro, which is slower, but generally higher quality. You can play with Ideogram, different flavors of that. Anyway, let me get back to the Microsoft thing. So my question was, can we use the language model's understanding of the importance of words and then translate that into visual characteristics? So clearly it's possible to do it in an entire image. Can you kind of abstract that out and make it available? And so what we've got now, it's like, so I just go in, I'm going to add some text, kind of, boring normal text. I say like, for those about to rock, we salute you. Your life never passes more slowly than we're like typing things in front of a group of people, right? So anyway, over here on the left, we now have a bunch of styles. And, I've worked on Adobe tools for many years. I've used them for even longer. As far as I know, and please correct me if this is not true, but there's never been a design tool where it actually understands the meaning of the content, right? It's like, great, you can do type styles, but you are on your own kind of to make a decision as to like, what are the important words? So like, what is the relative importance of words? Well, now you can take a string like this, you can pass it to GPT and say, hey, give me the most important ones, the secondary ones, the tertiary ones. And then based on that hierarchy, style accordingly. So now if I go and I click, for those about to rock, we salute you, wow. I get three different levels of emphasis.
Amazing. Wow.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, so cool.
Now, I gotta be honest, I would say these are kind of 1.0 styles visually. I think some of them are good, some of them are less good. And so like, I'm very actively working with the team to make it easier to create new ones. Ultimately, I would love it if, any user, anybody on this call really could just go in and define, okay, here's style A, here's style B, here's style C. And then I want to apply those hierarchically. You could say, I don't know, we'll do a different one. Let me go back, sure, sounds good. Go in here and, again, you can get these different styles, again, based on the semantics of the text. So what I think would be really interesting is to go beyond this very first version where we're constrained by it just being a single text object. So we can like put in carriage returns, to separate one line from another, but we don't yet have a way to like make native text spatially, in different compositions. I was actually showing an old Adobe teammate. Adobe has an interesting paper on this subject. I can see if I just got it handy. I don't. Anyway, like I say, I'll throw it into the chat with some other links. But like, there are different techniques for like subdividing space and knowing where to put words. We don't yet have that, but I do think that's one of the interesting things. And like I say, I want to find like finer and finer grained ways to kind of tap into the sort of mind of God, not understanding of content that these models seem to have, and say like, okay, like what is the essence of street typography, or like what is the essence of neon, and can we just kind of pull that one thread and like that, make that accessible, right? So conceivably you could like cross-pollinate these things. You could say, neon with street graffiti. Oh, this was a silly one again. I'm just trying to amuse my wife. She's working on a project to know like what are bots and what are not. So I'm like, oh, that sounds like a fun 50s game show. And I will wrap up, but and I think I'm guessing a lot of you experience this too. What's interesting is like it's not like just because some of the technical prerequisites, like being able to execute this technically, are now broadly accessible, that everybody just does this. Like everybody has interesting ideas. It still feels to me like you have to bring everything you've been to the process and have an idea, right? And then this can just kind of help you execute on this. Oh, by the way, this is ostensibly me. If you know, this is a great Portlandia sketch. This is my wife making fun of me for just eating leftovers with absolutely no shame. But again, it's so fascinating that like the model has a sense of like, what are the important words? Where would one place those? And can we start to make those finer grained capabilities more accessible, so you can just kind of use them a bit selectively? So yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Would love to get more feedback on this, and make sure you've got my contact info. And ultimately, yeah, I mean, if I walk out of here and have done nothing else but make it so the 500 million people in the world who use Office have the ability to take like some lame-o text and just like make it look, tasteful and beautiful and well typeset, that's not nothing. And frankly, I tell my Adobe friends, I'm like, yo, check this out. It's nothing stopping you from doing the same thing. I think it's different audiences, and if we can just kind of democratize those skills, that'll be pretty cool.
It's so interesting because I know that I do a lot of hand lettering, and the process of figuring out where to put the emphasis and where to put the heavy lines or where to put the thin lines and how to build the shapes within the context of the meaning is exactly what there's no reason AI could not do that, right? And that's so cool to see what would be the potential of that. Which is basically what we just described, right? It's the same process that a letterer goes through.
Right, but critically, you still bring your taste and sensibility, and like, does this work? Is that actually a solution, or is it just, I don't know? It's a layout. Like hopefully it gives you more running starts, right? So that like in the time you have, I always think of it as like, Ripley in Aliens, with the exoskeleton, right? Where it's like she's still moving the thing around, it's just doing more with every gesture, right? And so if you can say like, well, here's an example of my own hand lettering. I take a picture of that, and I say, now remix this in certain ways, right? Or can I train a style? And it's like, okay, you're going to make a design or like an identity for, let's say a country club, and maybe you do, one illustration of, the swimming pool. But you're like, oh, what would this also look like for the golf course or for the snack bar or for whatever? Like, can you sort of amplify your own style and try more directions more quickly? By the way, sorry, and you do have to cut me off because like the Terminator, I cannot self-terminate. But anyway, I'll say just in the last 24 hours, Runway put out this cool demo of using basically like keyframes. So you could like,
Yeah.
maybe, and they have these like splines that connect them. I mean, this is my multi-act play. Like time is a flat circle. I mean, back in like 2012, 2013, I was like trying to make a video tool that would let you do this kind of thing. And it's like, even last year at Adobe, I'm like, hey, can you apply those theories or patterns to working through the latent space? And of course, it's like, I'm sure everybody, or not everybody, but like a lot of people come to those same thoughts in parallel as Runway has. You know, again, it's like if it's just an amplifier for you and your sensibilities and your point of view, then I feel like, sure, we might kind of like, how do they put it? It's like a lower bar, but a higher ceiling, right? Yeah. That's at least the goal.
Yeah. It reminds me in a weird way, and I thought part of where you were going was this. It reminds me of Suno and Udio, the music generation tools, because they've got this deep vocabulary of what musical terms mean. Mm-hmm. And a layer that could be really interesting, like choosing which font to use. Like if I want a 50s looking thing, well, what fonts are 50s fonts, right? Mm-hmm. And when do you use a title font versus, you know, this or serif or sans serif? So you could also, you know, understand not only the meaning of the words themselves, but the sort of intent of the design. If someone doesn't have all that design vocabulary, it just gives them options. They're like, oh yeah, that looks like a 50s TV show.
Right. And that to me opens all these fantastic user interface possibilities where it's like vibes. Like, what does that even mean? You know, like what is Norman Rockwell-ness?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, but the model seems to, you know, and like, can you cross, like, what if it was the bot or not thing, but like, that's cool, but make it more Rockwell. It's like, well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little irritated when people are like, well, these things are just regurgitators. All they can do is like, you know, show things that exist. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think they can learn these sort of like points in space, and then they can combine them in really novel ways, right? And hopefully the novelty, sure, potentially can come from the model. It can suggest stuff. That's pretty cool, but it comes from you. I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking out loud, but like, what would a, you know, 50s box art look like if it was moved in a Norman Rockwell way? But like, what if it was more of a Rembrandt way? What if it was that as Lego? Like, clearly it's not just spitting out some version of like Norman Rockwell and Rembrandt and Lego, because that has never existed, you know? And so I feel like it's almost like this three-dimensional control surface that you can either manipulate directly or through language, or I don't know, to your point, Kyle, like, okay, now feed in Def Leppard. What would that do? I don't know. It'd be amazing though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then it's interesting too to think about how type will change as we become more and more used to using large language models to do the reading and to do the interpretation for us. A lot of typefaces look the way they do for very practical reasons, right? This is how they were set, or this is, so it's neat to think how that would also evolve as the AI tools are the ones reading the typeface more than the human eyes are.
Yeah. Oh, and one other point on that. So I did, when I was up at the Letterform archive, I went there because this is sacrilegious to say at Microsoft, but I think we should own it. Like, there's this great clip of Steve Jobs in 1996 saying the problem I have with Microsoft is they just have no taste. Yeah. Right? And like, and I don't mean it in a small way. I mean it in a big way, in the sense that they don't bring a lot of culture to what they do. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm going to go spend 16 hours this weekend learning, like, from cuneiform onward, not that I'm any kind of expert, but like, just like, what are these rules of thumb? Like, if you're going to add progressively, you know, more emphasis inside a block of text, are there time tested patterns that we could then implement as a best practice, where it's like, should you go to italics first, or should you do bold, or should you do bold and italics? Should you change the size? Should you change the case? Should you change the font face? Like, there is actually, I think, sort of a sliding scale of emphasis, and just acquainting yourself with like, oh yeah, what looked good 400 years ago still looks good. Well, maybe we should learn from that, and then maybe if we can pair those best practices with this generative understanding of meaning, that is in fact what a skilled human would do, consciously or otherwise. Now that again can raise the level of sophistication in the layouts a normal person can get.
Yeah.
Right? Which to me is pretty sexy.
Yep.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Well, John, thank you so much. It was good, sort of high level perspective and geeking out. So as always, thank you.
Sure.
Fantastic having you back. Thank you for coming and doing that. What I would like to do, if I want to, there's two people that I want to call on to do kind of your 3-act AI journey. So I'm going to totally put two people on the spot. So hopefully you're okay with it. The first one is Peter Kaminsky. If you'd be willing, because you've got a quiet power about you. You're not always the one to raise your hand, but I think you have a tremendous amount to say. And you've got such perspective, sort of, pre-internet, internet, pre-AI, AI. So I just love to hear, where are you on this 3-act journey with AI?
Thanks, Kyle. And first of all, congratulations, Kyle, Leah, and everybody else. AI Salon is awesome. Thinking about it, maybe first act for me was finding generative AI 2 years ago, kind of. I think it was actually ChatGPT that really, like you two, it kind of lit my fire. I was like, wow, this is a complete change in the world. So I got into generative AI and kind of stumbled around, and it was fascinating and interesting. I think my second act was actually joining AI Salon about a year ago. Kyle and I go way back in different communities, and I was like, well, I don't know what Kyle's doing with AI, but whatever. Finally, I kind of caught up with them, and it's like, wow, this is a real community. This is an amazing set of folks. And it opened my eyes. Being part of AI Salon kind of opened my eyes to people doing real things with AI. And I also, the way Kyle and Leah and everybody else involved in AI Salon have talked about like a lot of forgiveness about the technology being weird. Everybody's kind of like always trying to catch up to the bleeding edge, and you never quite can, and you get cut on the bleeding edge a lot, and you fall off, and you have to like learn new stuff all the time. All of that kind of like, let's explore this space together and be a team together and march into this thing. The third act has kind of started fairly recently. I'm hooked up through AI Salon. Nate St. Pierre and I joined forces, and we're working on a little AI startup that's super exciting to me. We're about a month or two into that, and having a blast doing it. He's got a few more friends that he's worked with over the years, and so right now we're about a four, almost 5-person company, having a blast doing AI stuff. So I don't know that we have anything to show yet, but hopefully we will in a month or two. So that's really exciting.
That's super exciting. What's the neighborhood of the startup?
The way I feel like Nate does a lot better job at the marketing than I do. The way I describe it is GPTs for business, and kind of small, medium business size, or maybe a team in a bigger business, and making GPTs. I don't know if it doesn't sound right to me talking to the AI Salon folks about it, but making GPTs accessible to people who aren't interested in the AI part. They're just trying to get their job done, more or less. So that's really where it is.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, it's a pleasure having
Thank
you here.
And happy birthday, AI Salon.
Thanks. Thank you for your generosity in the community.
Love to help out.
Okay, great. And then one other person I'd like to bring up, if you're willing to do it, is HT Snow Day. You got a cool background, but HT and I go way back as well. But you've got some really interesting your position in your company. The thing over the past year that's stuck with me the most is the little competition you did with people to use AI to make video games. And the only people that failed at it were the engineers, because they knew too much about game development, and like the people that were the most clueless did the best. And like, I thought it was amazing. So I would just, again, you've been around sort of, pre-World Wide Web, World Wide Web, you and I have big history. I'd love to hear, what's your 3X with this AI stuff? Where are you on the journey?
Well, Act 1 was happening upon AI Salon because Kyle was doing a thing. Really that simple. And I think you were doing ChatGPT 3.5, and I immediately so I'll tell you the thing that really threw me shortly thereafter. I've always been into the kind of the coding space, and automated coding in particular, was a friend of mine from, let's just say, a large well-known computer organization, said, hey, we have to do benchmarking for some of our solutions, but we don't do them great on Macs. And I just, for some reason, got back to Macs after not being on them. Had no idea. I've got coding in my background, but barely knew stuff. And I'm like, man, I wonder, what do you want? And he said, well, I need a hot dog or not app that can run 10,000 times and use this machine learning, an older image recognition thing. And I did it with ChatGPT 3.5 in, I don't know, I kind of became obsessed with it. It got it done, sent it to him. That's the benchmarking app that organization, as far as I know, to this day, still uses.
Still using it.
And it's super dumb. It's a pre-canned hot dog image that the ML will recognize it 100% of the time as a hot dog, but it runs multiple times, and so you can figure out how good your environment for running the model is. And that change, like, that was an enormous. That was my Kevin McAllister moment. So it was very nerdy. And then, so I brought it to the organization. I'm a big proponent. We just finished an AI class today. we do a 2-day session. We have about 35 trainers in the organization. We've gotten through about 300 people. One of my early classes did have that demo in it. I love that competition in it. And I do love that story and tell it a lot. We've done further analysis on the prompts, and I will tell you something about the game competition that I thought was great. Is every single dev failed to use the word game in their prompt.
Wow.
And that's what it turned out to be, right? So we had instructions. We want you to create a game that has you catching falling objects, and that's all. It was super silly. Every non-dev in the room used the word game somewhere in the prompt. Every dev in the room wrote instruction like, okay, well, I need things falling from the top of the screen, then I need another thing that
I need a particle system.
When they collide, I want this to happen. But they never used the word game. It was just,
wow.
And it's because, to your point, Kyle, they knew too much, right? They assumed too little of the AI, and it turns out the word game is enormously important for context if you're asking an AI to create a game. Okay, and then the last one, I will tell you a story about. I'm teaching general purpose ChatGPT, and it's just been a pleasure to be part of it. We have other instructors, but I get to be one. And one of the floor engineers, we actually have a large manufacturing plant in the middle of Ohio. We make stuff. We care about the price of steel. Literally tens of thousands of source parts and materials come in to make hard goods. Very rare to do in the US right now. I'm very proud of that being part of the business. This isn't the part of the business that I do at all. But in the course of teaching AI, I get to teach everybody across the organization. Here's a guy who's on the floor doing engineering, and in the course of the class, teaching him how to use the mobile app for doing image recognition. This guy who, you know, is a little bit crusty, a little bit older, figures out that he can use ChatGPT mobile to take photos of the old and crusty for the wind. I agree with you, Roger. A lot of our products come from sources that, you know, when you get, like, if you get certain, you know, raw steel elements or raw component elements, the documentation isn't great. Sometimes it's like a Post-it note with handwriting, or, you know, stuff that's half handwritten on a form that's taped to the thing and it goes on the shelf. And somebody has to take the time to read it and format it and get it into our system, because ultimately some of our stuff is approved by the FDA. I mean, we have to take it all the way to very high levels of sophistication. That's incredibly time consuming. So he, by the end of the day, had a demo of using ChatGPT mobile to take an image of these tags on equipment on the floor of the manufacturing environment, automatically recognize the text, and then prioritize and reformat that text into a format that is usable in our manufacturing process.
Amazing.
Now it is like ridiculously mundane and stupid, but it's one of those, it was another aha moment. Like this whole workflow of identifying things in documentation. Oh, and he noticed that ChatGPT having to recognize what the thing was too, right? So it already had the context. It's like, this looks like cold rolled steel, and it looks like you have something that weighs 300 pounds. And here's the text that was on the weird handwritten tag on the roll. And so these are where the changes are going to happen, right? Like we say as a line, and I think it came up in the AI Salon, but it's part of our training. AI isn't going to take your job, but someone using AI will.
Yeah.
So we want the entire organization to be ahead of it. Anyway, so that's sort of my third act, is to redistribute this across the organization and feed it in. And January 1st, every single software developer will have full access to both ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, full accounts, so that we can start driving those efficiencies.
Unbelievable.
But it's the non-devs.
Yep.
On the floor where the real innovation is going to happen.
Well, and it's 98.5 or 99% of people are not developers, right? So like the impact is going to be much greater over there. So thank you, HT. That's awesome.
That was kind of you to ask.
Yeah. Wow. So Leah, good Lord.
It is really amazing what's happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah, isn't it? Hang on.
It is. I want to jump in really quick, so we didn't talk about this up front. We put together a survey that Vicky just dropped the link into the chat. And as always, we are always thinking about how to move and shift and evolve the salon for you. And so it's really important that we hear your ideas and your thoughts and your feedback as we start to decide what our salon is going to look like going into 2025. So please fill out that survey, and please be honest, as brutally honest as you need to be. We want to hear all of the things and give us all of your ideas and insight. It's really important for our growth as we move forward. And Vicky put that link in just scroll up a little bit and it's right there. Yep, there it is.
I just put it in again.
Okay, thank you, Vicky.
And it's actually confidential, like nobody knows who you are, so feel free to let go.
Well, it's anonymous, but if you get the whole way through the survey, you can put in your email unassociated with your answers to go in for a drawing for a t-shirt, right, Vicky? Is that still there?
Yes, it sends you to a different form, so there's no way that we can correlate the answers to who's filled out the form. And anonymous is the word that I was looking for. Thank you. Not confidential. It is confidential, but it's also anonymous.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, please go fill out that form, because it's super important. As you know, part of the 3-act thing that we've talked about, the salon started on kind of the adrenaline of there's this new thing. We're in the post-adrenaline phase of this generative AI stuff, and so the role of this community, while I think it remains vital, is likely going to shift. So let us know what you're looking for, because we're constantly looking for that. Looking to improve and keep this community really vital. But Leah, I gotta say, thank you so much for being you, and just being a badass, partner, and creative, and I don't know. I couldn't be happier to be on this journey with you with this whole thing.
Same to you, Kyle. It is, as I said up front, it has been cool to be cool. AI is cool, but you and the community here are so cool, and it's been amazing to work with you on this. Your mind is inspirational. So I am delighted to be your partner on this crazy AI journey and salon journey that we are on.
Wow. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everyone who spoke. And I know we probably could have done this for another 2 hours and talked to everyone. So thank you for being here. And we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thanks Kyle. Thanks, Leah.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Zip, 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 zip.